All right. We are the unnamed show as of yet. The Clickety Clack is a German Shepherd that's wandering around on set. I kind of almost
We need to put her in this.
We should. She was in my little video vlog thing where I pulled her in. And this is Bonding with Board Games. So we're going to be doing our top 5 experiences that we've had with board games. So, and it's just kind of what's your top 5 experiences that have been in that circle? I'm going to start this one off.
Because that's what it's all about.
Yes, yep. Yes. Now, real quick, let's do the introductions again. And you wanted to plug?
Oh, I actually wanted to plug some Cardboard Carnage. If you guys haven't checked them out, they do a podcast. We're in the Wichita area, and it's generally going to be my husband Jason Krantz and Greg Bollinger, and they talk about all sorts of cool board game stuff, and you should definitely check them out.
Please do. And
I'm Cammie.
Yes. Anything you want to plug? You can
play games.
There you go. That's perfect. All right. I will plug Scotch Test Dummies. It's a whole separate show. We do reviews of Scotch, my good buddy and I. We do a little bit of kind of funny side banter, kind of like the roaring. Well, we haven't roared on camera actually, but and then we review a good bottle of Scotch. And BGG 2015, I'm running a Scotch tasting November 19th, Thursday, probably 7 p.m., but I want to see their schedule, make sure I'm not conflicting. You can go get further information on that on Board Game Geek. It's a non-sponsored event. My 5th best top 5 experiential game is a Risk comeback in like 1984, 6, somewhere in there. My brother, and who's 8 years younger than me, and my dad, we all decided we'd play a 3-person game. But I said we cannot have alliances in a 3-person game. It's got to be all for yourself. Can't make an alliance.
Every man for himself.
Who had to go to the bathroom?
Oh, no.
Big mistake.
Yes, I come back, and all of a sudden I'm seeing what looked like some shady maneuvers. And I'm thinking, So I set up a deal that if we were all above board, there's no way you're doing this. You're going, dad or the brother, whichever one had to go for the other one. No. Right here. I called Boondoggle or whatever it is. Yeah, I was like, something's going on, and I'm going to whoop both of you. I figured I'd be dead. The dice were with me. I first took out my brother, and then my dad was gone. 1 against 2, and I took him out. I don't even think I had Australia.
Dun, dun, dun.
It sticks to this day. I was a little bit of a bad sport and said I'm never playing that game with either of them again because they were cheaters. Yeah, I said they lied. They made a bad alliance, and I didn't handle it as well. I should have just won and been nice. Dad wasn't much of a gamer. He loved like backgammon and chess.
Classic.
Yeah, he would play, I think euchre, whenever. Actually, probably my first experience in gaming was as a little kid. After we'd go to the grandparents, after we would eat, the card tables would come out and they'd be playing hearts. Instead of oh hell, you couldn't curse my grandparents, so it had to be oh heck.
Oh heck, yeah.
But my first thing I remember, Dad, actually I'd sit on his lap and he'd say, throw that card in. So I would just be pitching cards in. So
That's a great memory.
Yeah, so good stuff. So that was my number 5. And let's just go.
We can go to me. That was an awesome segue to my number 5, talking about grandparents and gaming. Mine is Boggle. This is the big Boggle version, which was a gift because of this memory that I'm going to share. I owe a lot to my grandma, and one of those things is getting into gaming. She and I spent a lot of time in the wee hours of the morning. One of the things I owe to her is being a night owl. So we would play games in the evening. Now, this is not a typical game that you would play when everyone else in the house is asleep, because I don't know if you guys have ever played Boggle, but you have to shake this around, and there's a bunch of these little letter dice in here, and so that's pretty quiet. You got to really shake it up so that they fall into this grid, and then you can make words out of them, and you compete to see who can get the most and the best words. So imagine 70-year-old woman, 7-year-old child 1 a.m., trying to be really quiet, shaking this like under a pillow on the couch or something like that, you know, just trying to be as quiet as we can and giggling, you know.
That's cool. You guys literally stayed up that late?
Yeah, yep.
That's awesome.
So we watched
really cool.
game shows together, and you know, when you're little and you stay home from school, who didn't watch Price is Right?
Sure.
Yeah, and the generational, like playing within generations is always a lot of fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lots of fond
Very
memories.
cool. Very cool.
It's a great way to bond.
It is.
My number 5 is actually going to be very much that kind of family thing going on too, because my number 5 is the first time that I played King of Tokyo with my little brother James.
Oh,
Yes.
great game.
He is a huge Elvis fan, so he was super excited to play the King. And it was one of the first games that I ever played with him at all. And I hate to say it was so late in, you know, his adolescence, you know, but he had a blast with it, and I think that it's going to lead to more gaming in the future.
Great.
I would agree. The having that construct of a game, even around any kind of social interaction, I would remember my stepdaughter would maybe like, hey, I'm bringing this kind of serious boyfriend home in high school. I'd say, we'll play a game. And she'd be like, yeah, okay, because you can actually sit down. One, you can learn a lot about somebody.
Yes.
Like you can learn how well do they organize stuff in their box. That tells me a lot about you from a prior episode. Go watch the party episode. But yeah, and you're not
That's the
stuck.
conversations you're not normally having.
Yeah, well, you're not saying, so,
Weather.
what are you doing? Yeah, it's warm out, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
you're literally in a deal.
Them bears.
Yeah, exactly. Talk football. I don't know, how long can we do that? I agree with you
football, bro.
100%. Yeah, I don't like football. I'm into soccer. Well, I like European football. Sorry, I digress.
I like
My number
cookies.
4,
That's
I
what I
love
like.
cookies. We could all talk about cookies. She makes these great gluten-free cookies. Hello. Hello. All right, my number 4 is Battlestar Galactica. Now, I don't like it anymore. All right, now here's the
Wait.
problem. You may not.
Wait.
I know.
You don't like it
You're taking your
anymore?
high five back. I'm going to
I'm
go
taking
into.
it
There's
back.
2 side stories here. I'll give you the first one where I loved it. First time I played it, BGG 2009. I'm a Cylon, and there's this Canadian named Bixby. All right, and his
like
real
the
name's Matt Robertson. Yeah. And we're there, and we all play, and I reveal, do whatever, and then the rest of the con, I'm seeing Bixby, and he's going Cylon, and we ended up being great friends. He stops by here on his driving trek down.
Nice.
They stay the night. We play games, share beer, share scotch. It's just so again over a demoed game of Battlestar. Now I can see the look here why I don't like Battlestar anymore. So great experience here. I used it to, I'm a sergeant of the police department, I used it to bring a lot of cops in that hadn't gamed and just show them the game. It works so good, they got hooked on it, and I've probably played it like 15 times total. They probably got 100 plays total.
Wow.
Oh my
So I bring them back to play, and they're like, one guy reveals himself as the Cylon in his very first turn, and he goes, that's the only optimal move to make at this point in time because I'm this guy, and my thing here wouldn't have been as good, so I had to just do it now. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Oh no, you can't have a science to it. You have to just.
I know, it was
Yeah.
like the whole
Play it
trainer
up,
thing.
man,
Yeah,
play
the
it up.
whole
Yeah.
throwing cards. No, that's not as effective as me working against you from the get-go. The optimization. I was like, and they were all like, and I'm thinking, oh, you guys have
playing with the
passed
wrong
me
people,
by. So
sir.
That happened to us with one of our friends who got super good at playing Dominion
Oh,
and just memorized essentially all of the card combinations and the
when you
optimal
take all the
moves.
fun out of it, man.
So, I mean, it was still fun to play, but you knew you were never going to win.
yeah.
I played chess with a chess master,
Wow.
and
Oh, my.
he took me in like 3 moves
Yeah.
and said, "Good game," and I was like, "No, no, it wasn't."
Oh, we're not done, are we? Yes. Checkmate in 7. What? Yeah, so Battlestar is both one of my best experiences, and then it went all sour for me
Yeah.
after I like trained these little Padawans.
You just need a new group to play with.
I suppose, but I also found it was a little long with the structure, and when I just wanted that trader element, that's where Resistance
Yeah.
can give it to me in 20 minutes. So I found out if I'm looking for that tension trader, I can almost get it. It was so successful in what it did Did you do a loser?
No, I scratched one.
Oh, out of the corner of my
Little
eye, I saw this. I'm like,
self-conscious,
did she do a
Maybe I did.
Feeling a little guilty, huh?
It was.
Well, I stole the high five.
subconsciously.
Yeah, I stole the high five with the
Subconsciously, I was
Battlestar,
going
and then
to
I'm
inch
like,
my-
yeah,
but I
now
was
I
really
hate
good
it.
on you now.
Now I hate it. She's like, I'm taking my five back.
Taking it back.
That was horrible. Yeah,
like
that's funny.
it.
You were just itching. I'm like, did you give me the loser symbol? I think you gave me the loser symbol. So,
That's great.
Yeah, so Battlestar both was a great experiential with Bixby, and then I used it to teach all these cops, and then they went all like dark side on me. Yeah, and I can't.
No, I don't.
play it
I won't.
anymore.
I really just don't enjoy a board game if you make it scientific about it.
Yeah.
I love science. Don't get me wrong, but my board games need to just be fun.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes. Amen. Preach
Okay,
it. Preach it.
So I'm going to go in chronological order. So we talked about very young
Oh,
Camille.
okay.
Oh, we're getting
Okay.
the full story from.
Yes.
All right, wow. Very
So-
nice take. Very nice take.
Next up is going to be Taboo, and this is, as you can tell, a very well-loved copy of the game. Very old, well-loved
I'd love to
copy
see
of this
that.
game. So the memory here is really something that kind of transitioned, just kind of growing up gaming into meeting my future husband in high school, getting in with a group of friends who also enjoy gaming, grew up with gaming. We were playing a game of Taboo with a group of friends at their house, and Steve and I were on a team. And the card that came up was Alphabet. And I can't remember, he's gonna kill me, which one of us gave the clue and which one of us got it. But the word was Alphabet, and one of us said Phoenician. And the other one got it. And we were like, oh, this person gets me. It's meant to be.
And you're in high school at this
In
point.
high school at this point in time.
And,
so
and there had been no dating or anything, but it was literally like the
we
connection.
had
was-
started dating.
Okay, so
Yep,
you'd
we
started
started
dating.
dating.
Sweethearts.
Yep, high
That's
school
so cute.
sweethearts.
So that was beyond the loop.
I know. That was like
That was
full
the
on.
gang.
Like,
Yeah,
throw
yeah.
up in the
First
mouth.
this. Wow. Yes, you're really charading it. Charading.
But it was
Sweet.
so awesome just to know, hey, I've got this group of friends. They're into the same stuff I am. We can have fun like this, and yeah,
That's
the
an awesome
beginning.
group. Now, are you still hanging out with that
Oh, yeah.
group of friends?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That is
Good
really
times.
good.
I love how board games bring people together.
Yes.
My number 4 is actually about tearing people apart. If I get the if I get the chance to annoy someone, I'm gonna go for it. I don't know if any of you guys have played Batman Gotham City, the strategy game.
No.
You don't play as Batman. You actually play as all the bad guys. And I have a tendency to, because, well, I'm a huge Batman fan to begin with. And a lot of people will give me a whole great big, but why? But my favorite bad guy from Batman is the Penguin. So,
Really?
yeah, I love him. He's just, and it's very much in the same way that Batman is just a guy. You know, the Penguin is just a mob boss. No, we're not talking about the Tim Burton stuff because that was weird. But so I'm playing the Penguin, and every time I'd make a move, I would make a penguin. You know,
Love it.
and it got to this point that my husband is just shaking his head. He's like, "That needs to stop." I was like, "The what?" So, and
You were in his head.
I was in
Which
his
is the
head.
Penguin.
Yes. So, so that was a lot of fun. Like,
How do you
I said.
like the game?
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's an area control game, and you earn money to purchase bad guys to put in areas, and you also and it's really great. And one thing that I'm not too fond of, I really wish they'd bring in some of the girls.
Yeah.
Because it's Two-Face, it's the Penguin, it's the Joker, and it is Killer Croc. Which, you know, Killer Croc's all right, and I like Killer Croc as a
Poison
character.
Ivy.
But yeah, you got Poison Ivy and
Right.
Catwoman, which Poison Ivy would be great because they have abilities. Poison Ivy would be great because I think Poison Ivy could have an ability of being able to woo somebody else's henchman. I think that would be great.
Right.
Expansion.
Yes. So hey, get on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like annoying people. So
You gotta stop. All right. Awesome. Number 3. Now, if you watched Party Games, this was on there. I have the Resistance, but the experiential moment was you were in this game. Rob
that face. See that face?
Eskridge. Rob Eskridge is there. He and I had figured out somehow that we were not the evil, bad people. And we team together and we totally defeat the other team. Scene. We start a brand new game. All right. Now, this is a brand new game. I know this is a brand new game. I'm an experienced gamer. Whatever was with the first game has really no ties to the second game. But this link we had made seemed to still be there. And he made a move that was suspicious. And I said, no. And he goes, come on, man. Look how we work together. And he suckered me in with what happened in the previous game. This is a new game. Whatever happened in the past game doesn't matter. So I'm now perplexed when things keep going slightly weird. And it's because Rob was lying the whole time, and he was, what do they call it? Spy, right? No, it's red team, blue team.
Yeah, I can't remember the name.
I can't remember the name for it, but he was in the Resistance.
Yeah.
Or no, it's the Feds or whatever. I can't remember the name. And he reveals, and I'm like,
my heart.
So betrayed.
Yeah, but the thing we had in the game, he was like, yeah, that was the game before. What was this? You fell for the whole thing from the fictional game before. And I sat there and I thought, oh, that's a good game.
Yeah.
When psychologically the connection we had on the game before somehow crossed over this invisible barrier, and I got suckered in so deep that and then it was all just a game, so it was fun. And then I think you suggested
that's it.
The Korean instead of the TikTok, it was it wasn't that, but I was like, I need something so light and fluffy. Yeah, that was what you call it. We needed a cleansing. We now need a cleansing. And I'm like, we do need a cleansing. Yeah. I was sweating. I was like, so that was just that moment with Rob there and being suckered in on something that I should have known.
You get so emotionally involved in those games.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's another thing that's great about gaming, so.
Couldn't believe it.
Absolutely.
So I was a sucker.
The betrayal.
Yeah, a 20-minute betrayal, and then it was over.
All right, so my number 3 is a fun little game that some people may not know.
You have the coolest arrangement of games.
Pretty cool collection, yeah. So this is called Mord Amorosa, and it is about a hotel that a crime, a murder, has taken place within. And so the players are people in the hotel that are being suspected of committing the crime. And what's really awesome is you build this little tower for the hotel, and you're dropping cubes through a little hole, and they will fall randomly into one of the layers of the hotel. And so it's got a really different mechanic, which makes it a really fun experience to play with people, because you're having to listen and try to figure out where those cubes have fallen. So you're trying to pick out your colored cubes so that you can remove your tracks from the scenes of the crime and not implicate yourself to be suspected. So the person who has the most clues near the scene of the crime is who will lose. And inevitably, I have a lot of fun with this game, but inevitably I am the most suspected because I can't get my stinking cubes out of the hotel.
So this is not a game that you play at a con where it's super loud.
You know, I think we first played this at Tornado Alley, our local con, and it worked pretty well. You just have to kind of get close and make sure you're focused when things are dropping in. But there's a really fun aspect of this game because your cubes can fall all the way to the table, and that's the most obvious when you can hear it go clink or clunk at the bottom of the table, and everybody goes, oh, because they know where that one was, and they hope that it gets around to their turn to find it. So this is a really fun experience. There's not a specific memory necessarily I have tied to this one, but it's just so different from any other mechanic that I've really seen in a game before, so it's fun every time.
Obviously a German game from Zoc?
Yep.
Huh. Steve, it's fun. Now, just how many games in your family's collection?
Oh, geez.
Are we talking 200 or plus?
Probably around there now.
Okay, that's awesome.
I'm not talking about mine.
Right.
Really? You're not? Mine's, I've got to thin mine down.
Yeah.
I wish we would.
Well, but your husband works for a game company, so he's going to be getting tons and tons.
It's like closer to 7.
Yeah, well, mine's getting close to 700 as well.
Wow.
All right, so like I mentioned earlier, I like annoying people.
Her experience.
Right, let me tell you. So it's always in good fun. I'm not, when I could tell people are really getting angry, I'll stop. But my friend Sean and myself, we're both pretty high energy people, and typically when you put the two of us together, that with just the right board game, you've got a catalyst that creates chaos. And the particular board game that really went crazy was Lupin Louie. Have you guys played that
Love
one?
that game.
Okay, so if you haven't played it, this little airplane's flying around trying to knock the chickens out of your coop, and you're flipping them off and everything. Not like that. So
More of this.
yes, but we started, and it's so like high paced, and things are getting crazy. We've been eating sugary sweets and drinking energy drinks like we do when it's 2 o'clock in the evening, in the morning. And we're sitting here just like giggling and saying stupid stuff. And he starts calling it poop and doopy. Like, I don't know where it started, but I start laughing so hard, and we're just like, poop and doopy, poop and doopy. We completely just digress into like a 3-year-old status.
Sure.
And so that was stupendously fun.
Now there's a new version of that, right?
Yes, yeah, and we've got that one too.
Which is very
Lupin
close.
Chewy.
Yep, Lupin Chewy.
We stood in line at midnight to go.
Did you really?
Well, it was the Target's release for all of the new Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got Lupin Chewy.
Okay, we'll have to play that.
It's kind of
soon.
sad. The one sad thing is that in order to save money, it only has 3 instead of the 4.
Oh, really? That's a bummer.
See, I thought maybe they did that as well because when you're playing 4, you can kind of set up the guy next to you. Whereas I thought maybe with the.
I always figured it was the licensing was so expensive, but
They were just cutting
the
corners.
one thing is that we end up doing like championships of Lupin Louie, or Poop and Doopy, sorry, and we get to the point where you're playing 2-player and you've got both of these ones, so
Right, yeah.
you can't do that with Lupin Chewy.
And you realize I just thought
But you can start making really obnoxious noises for that
would be
too.
good. And you realize I thought that
I
they
don't
literally
do
maybe
bitch
moved it to
sounds.
3 for the strategic tactical level. I don't think I'm with you. I've just
Probably cutting
realized, I'm like,
corners,
well, maybe
yeah.
they made it 3
It's less
so
plastic.
it's more strategic. No,
Less
it's
plastic.
less plastic. I'm sure you're right. Lupin Chewy or Lupin Louie. Very good. Very good
No,
call.
Poop and Doopy.
Poop and Doopy. Sorry, what was I thinking?
Da, da, da.
My number 2, now this is on my all-time games, B-17 Queen of the Skies, but the experiential moment was, again, this is the very first board game serious hobby board game I ever purchased. And again, there's clearly a role-playing theme going on with me. You're taking this crew of 10 guys that was very much into the B-17 bomber in the World War II history, and you're trying to get them through 25 missions, and I had a real good crew. I was pretty far along, like maybe 12 missions in, and boom, I think a plane came in, struck my bombs on the way out, and the plane's just gone. And I literally was just like, because first of all, it's a solitaire game.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that moment where, but you can't cheat. I mean, I couldn't cheat because I'm thinking so I'm just like, wow. But it had like a deeper effect on me. It was bizarre. It had literally like, I'm thinking, wow. And then I also knew I was real into reading all the real history and stuff. I thought, goodness. But I had to, so it was both the game moment, and then I also kind of had a realization, wow, war is really hell.
Yeah.
And I had to leave the game, and I think I came back like a day or 2 later and thought,
wow.
okay, I'll play it again with a brand new crew.
That can, yeah, and
The
I don't know.
intensity of it.
There's something about those kinds of experiences that you realize that they're trying to tell you a story, kind of like in a movie or a book, and when the board game can get that across. And there's one that I've wanted to play that's kind of controversial. It's the train one that you end up being the conductor for Auschwitz.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, but I'm kind of curious to see what kind of reaction it builds in me.
Yeah, because that was the psychological game where they just said, hey, you're just train conductor and you're trying to make a really efficient deal on how to move people to this little place here. And then they would slowly reveal, and when people realized, what? I'm moving Jewish, but what? And then they were, I think it was a psychological, like, graduate class.
Punch you in the gut kind of thing.
And they were seeing how it played out. Yeah, but so, 13 years old, I don't know when that exact experience happened, but I started playing when I was 13. And for me, board games get into a very much experiential moment as well. So great game. It just really, you'd carry these fictitious characters, although at the time I think I would like name kid, everybody was like a guy from school.
Right.
Of course.
So
That made it
there's
worse,
Tim,
right?
yeah, there's John there. I don't really like John, but wow, he's a great guy in that ball turret there. I like what he's doing. Yeah, and then that whole plane and I was like, and it was just, so B-17, sudden, total crew loss.
Crushed his
And
heart.
yeah, both the game was brutal, and then, the experience of what war was for in real life, some people. So, sorry, that's a little heavy. Poop and doopy.
Poop and
Throwing out
doopy.
poop
We
and
need a
doopy.
cleanse from poop and
cleanse. Poop and doopy.
Shake it off,
And the
shake it
B-17,
off.
we're going back to poop and doopy to cleanse. We're going to cleanse,
That
yes.
sounds backwards.
I know, it does. Yeah. So, but you've seen the poop and doopy. So we got to move from the heavy war depth to poop and doopy, loop and chewy, loop and louie. Sorry, there's my segue to you.
Yep.
So my number 2 experience was one of my first con experiences at BGG Con. And it was when I was kind of wandering around the open gaming area, just kind of looking for something to maybe get into by myself. So that was a little intimidating for the first time.
I try to do that at least once at every
strange
con.
group. And there was a game that I had heard about, hadn't been able to play yet, and I saw a players wanted flag up, and it was the downfall of Pompeii.
Ooh.
So 2 complete strangers welcomed me into their game, and I had a lot of fun throwing their little guys into a volcano. We had a lot of fun. They taught me
hear
the game.
this?
Well,
Just kill
That's
us
not-
a little.
that's what you do.
That's not far from my B-17 story.
Right? Man, you guys are getting intense in here.
That's
They
right.
taught me the game. They were super fun to play with. It was a really great experience to have that kind of welcoming thing. I got to play a game that I probably wouldn't have been able to play anywhere else. We still don't own it. We've been talking about, is it one we should have in
have
our
it.
collection
You
or
can
not?
play it.
Okay, thanks. But great game in and of itself, but great experience.
Yeah, it's a
at
fun
con.
little mechanic. Like,
It is.
Yeah, throwing those little guys in there.
Yeah.
Go!
I mean, the first
Little
part of the
nipples.
game, yeah, you're
gonna start
placing your
singing
people
some
in the
Bastille
city,
here.
and then the volcano starts to erupt, and so you're trying to flee the city as quickly as you can, and the lava starts flowing. You place the lava down, and it's chasing you out of the city. So it's got that fun kind of race for your life type of thing.
Yep. Yep. So,
Here it
Good
we're
is.
on 2.
Yes, I think, right? Because I started with 1. Yeah, you're 2 still.
So, I went to the Geekway to the West this year. And there is a tradition amongst that started the year before when my husband went, that they would play Battlestar Galactica.
Still
There's several friends that we do that with, and I didn't know any of them going into this, but they're people that Jason had met before, and so it was really funny because there's a gal that he swears is my Asian twin, and she's shaking her head.
Pretty close.
And that is Tina Vo, and she's amazing, and I might be a little, narcissistic in that, but
Yeah, she's my twin, and she's amazing. She's just amazing. A
so-
lot like me.
right. So there's 3 of them, including my husband and Tina, that had this triangle of trust, and so this goes back to this game should not affect the way that this game goes, because they formed a bond, and they were playing together and really like swearing by it and everything like that. And about now at the halfway mark, I had been outed as a Cylon, but I was also a sympathizer, so I had a card that said either I was a Cylon sympathizer or a human Cylon sympathizer. And it was great because about another quarter through the game, Tina comes around and starts hugging everybody. So, and
you know something's wrong.
Looking at her funny, and Jason goes, "Oh, she's a Cylon, right?" And she's like, no, I'm not. This is getting really intense. So just like 2 turns later, she does out herself as a Cylon. So everybody's just really mad at Tina. And we had this poor kid that, he had Baltar already. So he had the extra card. And when I was outed as a Cylon, I've got my card that I have to hand off to somebody, so I give that to him, and he gets another one, and so he's got like 5 cards, and so everybody's like, he's a Cylon, so and I'm going, oh yeah, he's a Cylon. I totally gave him a Cylon card. Poor kid. We stuck him in the brig, and he was there the rest of the game, and he was not a Cylon. So I'm working this out and everything, working on the inside, and my particular card gave that my end condition was that the ship didn't have any damage to it. So it looked like I was seriously helping them by fixing everything. And I was like, well, since, I'm the chief, I'm gonna go and fix everything. And once I had everything fixed, we were already really close to the end of this. And I looked up at Tina. Tina looked at me, and I was like, yeah. And her eyes got really big, and then we both stood up, and it was great. Like in tandem, we run to each other, and oh yay!
So I'm across that gaming room on the complete other side of the room, and I hear this whoop raise from the table, and it's the 2 of them jumping up and down, arm in arm, celebrating.
And the rest of everybody's at the table like,
Oh, they were
and that
pissed.
poor kid in the brig.
Oh, that poor kid in the brig.
Baltar, though.
Yeah, so
That's
we
where he
actually
should
got
be.
pictures afterwards that we were pretending to stab my husband in the back. So, yeah.
And he was talking about that broken triangle of trust for like days after that.
That might be on his
Weeks.
list, too.
Weeks. So we're not going to be trusted next year, and we're actually taking it up a level because we're all dressing up next year. I've got my Starbucks wig. I've got a fake cigar. And I've got everything. We're doing it.
Nice.
And she gets to be my boomer. So
Very cool.
yep, good
Very,
stuff.
very cool. All right.
You said you hated BSG.
I love the show. The game.
We're not sparking
got
anymore.
Gamey for me. I know she took back her high five. All right, but my number 1. This kind of plays into when I mentioned Ticket to Ride under my top games of all time. Ticket to Ride is the game that got me back into modern day board games, and the experiences that when it came in, it was so easy to learn, and my wife Liz seemed to me, maybe I misjudged, but I think she seemed a little hesitant to get into this gaming thing, and then it took off with her deeper than it even took off with me. And that first night when we played 3 games, it was a work, we both had to go to work the next morning. It's midnight. She's wanting to play a 4th, but saying we've got to go to bed. It's midnight.
That was me watching BSG. So
There you go. And I liked watching BSG too. and so when that happened, and I thought, wow, there was even a little bit of like, she may like games more than me.
Ooh.
I was like, wow, this is so cool. And then sure enough, we got kind of sucked in down a little further and just,
into the rabbit hole.
Yes, very much. It was so nice to get back in. So Ticket to Ride is my number 1 experiential moment, just because the kind of the netting together, I mentioned when I said kind of the story under why it's my number 3 top game ever, was that I was playing a first-person shooter. I was home, my wife was home, and she's like, hey, you've been down here 2.5 hours. We're not doing anything together. And Ticket to Ride kind of netted us together under that, bringing that structure in for gaming. So it was really nice to have that shared activity that really knitted us.
Absolutely.
Not netted us, I guess, but knitted us together. Did I say netted earlier? Oh, knitted.
They both mix.
Knitted. Yeah, and that's kind of captured, knitted, drawn together.
Well,
I don't know.
you're kind of captured.
I'm
together
captured.
when you're married.
I'm good. Both are good. Netted or knitted, whatever I said. I'm good, and that's my 1. Sorry.
All right, number 1. So I went in chronological order, right? So this is my most recent memorable gaming experience. This was at Geekway this past year.
I really like that con.
Yeah, it's a great con. And this is kind of the culmination of getting into gaming, getting in with different groups, meeting people, kind of having that connection with somebody that, you know, they get what you get and they're into the same things. So this is a shout out to Carlos, who I know that our husbands met at the prior
He's awesome.
con. He is fantastic. I think of him kind of as like the godfather of Geekway because he has the best games. He's who actually
He brings all of the old
brought
stuff.
Babylon, which I mentioned in our party games episode. And he played a few games with us at the con, and we got to talking with him, and he, through some questions and just chatting with me, figured out that I really like puzzle games. So he ended up going home because he lives there in St. Louis, coming back another day and brought Code Omega, which we have in the mail coming. I'm super excited about this.
This is the Canadian.
Another
She's
card
getting all
again.
giddy over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, ooh.
You
So-
see the sparkle in her eye?
So poor Carlos sits down with me to teach me this game because I was excited. He had described it to me a couple days before, the day before. I was super excited to play it. So you've got these boards that have this pattern, and then you've got these little colored strips that have lines on them. And you're trying to place a series of strips. It's kind of similar to Ubongo in a
Okay.
way.
I
You're
like
trying
that
to
one.
place these colored strips down in a way that connects one of the black lines all the way down the pattern. Okay? Well, there's more than one black line on each of the colored strips that you can place down. We play maybe 8 or so turns, and he's getting it in 30 seconds maybe. Just boom, boom, boom. He's getting them one right after another, and he's calming me down. You'll get it. You'll get the hang of it. Don't worry. Let's keep playing. Don't worry about it. It's okay. And I'm going, well, I am just not a worthy opponent for you because you are just kicking my butt. So then Steve, my husband, sits down. He's like, oh, this is the game you were telling us about, huh? It looks like fun.
Oh,
So
no.
I'm like, I am just so not getting
I know where
this
this is
game. So he watches us play around and he goes, you don't have to make both black lines line up on the pieces. You only have to make one line up. I was sitting there racking my brain trying to make these two sets of black
Make it way
lines.
too hard for yourself.
And it's impossible. So I totally was not either paying total attention when poor Carlos read the rules to me, or I just missed something along the way, but he had so much patience teaching me that game, and it ended up being my favorite game of the con.
And that probably made you so much better if you were almost getting
Yeah.
both. And then you're like, I only got to get one.
I got the hang of it
Dun, dun, dun.
so easily after that.
I'm getting everybody. So this Carlos guy, old, young.
He's maybe,
I wanna
forgive me,
meet him.
Carlos.
No, we can't do this. Don't do it.
Don't do it. What's the guy?
50 maybe?
Oh, okay. Well, I want to meet
I don't know,
He's
but he's a
amazing.
total sweetheart.
He is.
Wow.
Yep.
And we played Ladies and Gentlemen with him, and that was a blast. Between, the whole group was great. It was really great.
That is a great con. Very
how many-
friendly, very welcoming.
I know Greg Schmickens goes to this, right? Doesn't he go
He
to
didn't
Geekway?
go
didn't
last
go this
year.
year.
Okay.
No.
He opted to go to one of the war game ones instead.
Okay. Now, how many people show up to Geekway to the
geez.
West?
It's smaller than BGG.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking 500?
Oh no, it's more
It
than
was.
that.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what they announced at the con when we left.
1,500?
Probably around there.
Yeah, and
I wanted
they
to say it was
do a
over
lot of
1,000.
those play for win. Wait,
That's,
play to
yeah.
wins.
I remember Greg
A
telling
lot.
me there's a lot of like, go demo this game
Yeah.
and then you might win it.
Yeah,
And that's like one of their big.
it
their
is a big
draws.
draw.
Cool.
And they had a really decent sized library, and I know that the folks that had gone the prior year from our group had said that they really did a great job kind of reorganizing things with the whole con in general, and that the library was just fantastic
Yeah.
this time around.
And when do they usually have this con?
It was in what, March this past year?
I want to say March. Yeah.
Yeah, so spring. They just released registration, I saw on Facebook, so I don't think we've put ours in yet, so nobody
I'm
rush
intrigued.
out there.
Yeah, oh, don't, yeah.
Let us get in first.
This won't be out for 6 weeks.
Okay,
No.
yes.
Yeah, I definitely.
We're
wanna go
taping
back.
a few in advance, so this will be the last one released. All right, to you here.
All right, so my number one experience was at BGG this year, and fangirl over here again. I got to play Royals after being taught how to play it by Peter Hughes himself, and he was teaching us, and he was watching us play. And there were these two guys, and I don't remember who they are, but Jason says that they run a blog or something, and so they're big deal. So Jason's playing and these two guys are just fighting back and forth because this is a area control game, and between area control and having the majority of a particular type of royal. So I'm sitting here playing quietly. Jason's looking at me. He's looking at these two fight. And they're really like slugging it out, you know. Oh, I'm gonna get that one, and I'm just do-do-do, bloop, do-do-do, bloop, you know. And it wasn't until like 2 turns to the end that they realized that I had the majority of just about everything. Nice. And they were at that point they couldn't stop it. And my husband knows what's going on, so he was fighting me the whole time. Just thank you for not telling everybody that I'm better than some people think I am. So it was great, and Peter thought it was hilarious. So
Nice.
Very cool. So he actually taught the game to you.
Yeah, he demoed it
to
with
the
us.
whole group. Wow, very neat.
Yeah, that's always really fun.
Well, very cool. Well, bonding with board games, experiential top 5. That was very enlightening, actually. Wow, I was entertained. So hopefully you are. Do me a favor, subscribe. Where's the subscribe button? Do you remember where it is?
We'll do the flight
That's right.
attendant.
Yes, do the deal. Comment, whatever it is, and
Give us a name.
and thumbs. A lot of thumbs. Yeah, throw a name in. So. Did you have any names come to mind at all? If you're not any names, do we like the
Butts.
Amigas? Is Amigas even good?
Amigas sounds fun.
I
But we'll see.
we could just say Amigas and I'll be the odd guy.
Something about the German Shepherd.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you later. Bye. Awesome. I'm already huge if I come in like this, like I'm really twice as
Let's all leave.
big. I'm way bigger. Way bigger. This is all going to outtakes. That's perfect.
Right?